gentlemen, members, if we could appear in front of our cameras, we can begin this meeting of the Plum Committee. I see our Vice Chair, Mr. Blumenfield. I see Mr. Lee under a false name. And I see Mr. Bertoni. So if we could begin, Mr. Mejia, if you could call the roll. I think you're
yes.
on mute.
Yes, I just fixed it. Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson as chair.
Present.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Here. Thank you. Present.
Present. Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo. Absent. And Councilmember John Lee.
Roberto, I am here.
Okay, sir. We have 4 members and we have a quorum.
All right. Can we begin our meeting this morning by hearing from Mr. Mejia regarding public comment? As everyone knows that is under the sound of my voice, we've been working to streamline the process to facilitate public comment and to facilitate input by staff and deliberation by members. Through our technology, it is a week-to-week developing enterprise. And so we like to refresh everybody on the rules and the way it will work. From the outset, I will note, Mr. Mejia, before I kick it to you, that we've been joined by the erstwhile Mr. Gil Cedillo, completing full complement of committee members.
Duly noted. Councilmember Cedillo is present.
Note a bit under the weather, but the traditional cold, but here, present and ever ready.
Very good. So noted.
So that, you gotta stay out of those indoor dining, Gil. I don't know.
I will read the comments, Mr. Chairman, per your request.
It's a great chicken soup from Poro Loco, I'll say that though.
Okay, I will begin. Members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 161-644-6631 and then press number sign. Press number sign again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. During public comment, city staff will call on members of the public by the last 4 digits of their phone number. By pressing *9, callers raise their virtual hand. Once the callers hear the last 4 digits of their phone number, they will need to press *6 to unmute themselves and should be ready to speak. Once the caller is ready to speak, he or she must state their name and the item or items they are calling to speak on. Failure to do so will result in the call being muted and subsequently disconnected. Appellants and/or their representatives and applicants and/or their representatives will be allowed to speak for a total of 3 minutes per side unless otherwise noted by the chairman of this committee. Members of the public wishing to speak on one agenda item only shall have an opportunity to speak for 1 minute. Members of the public wishing to speak on more than one item shall state that and shall be allowed to speak for a total of 2 minutes. This concludes the comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mejia. So before we go to public comment, there's a few items of business where there are requests to continue. So I will read those and we'll have take one action to continue those. Item number 4, there's a request to continue to January 21, 2021. Item number 6, there's a request to continue to January 21. 2021. Item number 9, there's a request to continue to February 4, 2021. Item number 11, there's a request to continue to January 21, 2021. Item number 12, there's a request to continue to January 21, 21. And item number 13, there's a request to continue to February 4, 2021.
Mr. Chairman?
And item number 14. Okay, so those are the items that will continue.
Mr. Chairman?
I think I got a second from Mr. Blumenfield. Mr. Blumenfield, yes.
Yes, I believe item number 2 should be on that list as well. I did not hear it.
All right.
Is my understanding we were going to continue item number 2 until next week?
Yeah, item number 2 should have been the first one I read to December 8th.
Maybe I missed it. I didn't hear you read it. I apologize. Just to clarify that.
Perfect. All good. Yeah, excellent. So those are the numbers of items that we want to clarify. Is there a second to that?
Second.
So we want to continue, rather.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Do we call the roll on this, Mr. Mejia? My computer.
I believe Mr. Mejia is on mute.
Roberto, you're muted.
Councilman, do you want me to call the roll for all the items that you continued?
Yes, if you believe that's in order, let's do that.
Okay, Councilmember Harris Dawson as chairman.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Kern Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Yes.
And Councilmember John Lee.
Yes.
Okay, we have a unanimous decision.
All right, and we have, before we go to public comment, we have 2 items that we will receive and file. Item number 14 and item number 1. Not 1, okay. I'm hearing that it's item number 14 that we want to receive and file because the applicant withdrew the application.
Adrian
All right.
Corsani, City Attorney's Office. Yeah, just to clarify for the record, as there is no longer an actual application, there's nothing to appeal.
All right. So with that, we'll move to general and multiple public comment. This will be facilitated by our staff. Folks know the rules, as Mr. Mejia said in the beginning. You've got...
Mark, let's continue. That's half the agenda. So.
We've got multiple items that you can speak on. We ask you to call in at the front end now, as well as general public comment. So we'll turn it over to our team who'll give further instructions.
Those wishing to speak on general public comment and multiple item, please press star 9 to raise your hand. Caller with the number ending in 5733, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself and begin your public comment? And then state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hi, I'm calling to speak on item number 8, please. Thank you for taking the time to, I have 1 minute, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what we have to say. I'm calling as a resident of the Yucca Argyle Tenant Association, and I'm asking that condition 14D, which requires a developer and landlord to allow for a right of return and the difference in the rent in the interim, stay as a condition and be strengthened. The way it's currently written now still allows for abuse against tenants and an increase in our homeless numbers. There's nothing that stops harassment or intimidation in order to get a signed agreement, since we still don't have an anti-harassment policy. There's nothing in the current condition to make sure that there is transparency in the agreement that the tenants can bring a lawsuit if the developer fails to uphold their end of the bargain. Please, as a tenant in an RSO that's just about to get removed from my housing, I'm asking you to keep this condition and to strengthen it against anti-harassment. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5003, can you please press star 6 to unmute and then state your name and the item you'd like to speak on?
My name is Nico. I'd like to speak on item 8 and general public comment.
You have 2 minutes.
Calling to echo the previous comments, supporting a universal right of return, asking that condition 14D stay as a condition and additionally be strengthened. We know that when developers come in, they want to displace longtime tenants, and those tenants are never going to be able to return to that area where they've raised their families, where they've been part of their communities. If we just allow developers to kick them out for a couple $1,000s as a cash for keys offer, when instead they've made their home there and they should be able to stay. So again, just reiterating my support for a universal right of return, asking that condition 14D stay and be strengthened. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 0858, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'd like to speak on items 4 and 5, please.
Ma'am, so 4 has been continued, so you can't speak on item 4, but you can speak on item 5.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Like I said, good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly, and I'm a member of ACE, and I live in District 8. We support the motion for item 5 and this effort to find a solution to the problem. We also want to recommend that the Neighborhood Stabilization Overlay Zone extends to the area known as the USC Nexus Study Area, and we encourage a prioritization of housing at 60% AMI for housing serving the Council District 8. We push for an interim control ordinance for the next 12 months on any demolition of an LA RSO housing and a pause on any entitlements of housing aimed for students in the NSO area. Companies like TripleLink have been demolishing and homes and stop destroying the aesthetic of our neighborhood and pushing our people out. We're asking also for a 60-day report back. The issue is so urgent. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 8860, can you please state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Max Phillips. I would like to speak on item 5.
Oh, so sir, you need to wait until we hear item 5. This is for general public comment.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to echo the remarks just previously made. I mean, whatever the last person did, I totally agree, and I want to support.
You can wait for the call until we get to item 5, sir.
Okay, sure.
So thank the folks who've called in. So if you want to speak on a specific item and only one item, you should wait until we get to that item because we'll have a full discussion about that item. There will be a report from staff and we want to hear from you at that time. This time is for folks who want to speak on items that are not on the agenda but under the jurisdiction of this committee, or folks who want to speak on multiple items. And I would just caution, if you want to speak on 7 and 8, we're going to hear those together. So if the two items you want to speak under 7 and 8, you should wait until we get to 7 and 8. Beyond that, that's who we want to get to in this section of public comment.
Thank you. So caller with the number ending in 44024. Can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? Caller with the number ending in 424. Can you please press star 6 to unmute and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on? Caller, can you please press star 6 to unmute? Caller with the number ending in 8990, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. Good morning. I'm confused now. Some people did speak on an item I wanted to speak on, and now you're saying we need to wait until you get to item 7 and 8. I do have public comment, though, so should I just do that?
You should wait till 7 and 8.
Okay, so for the public comment, I wanted to thank Councilmember Cedillo. There were items last week on the agenda that you didn't get public comment on, and some of us hung up, but I realized you did take public comment on those 3 streamlining items later on in your meeting. But I totally agree with Councilmember Cedillo and the other council member who had issues with getting rid of the plum committee level of project review. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's important, and I appreciate your opinion. So I guess I call in again to speak on 7 and 8.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm Ann Gagan in Hollywood, by the way. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5338. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, my name's Joe Rose, and I was calling for items 4 and 5, so I'll just wait for number 5.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 5194. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Good morning. My name is Linda, and I want to just make a comment for item number 10. I guess I should have been waiting, right?
Yes. So we'll call you when we get to item 10.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 1669. Can you please press star 6 to unmute and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
This is Hassan. I'm also want to speak about the item 5 and 4, so I'll wait at the end when it gets to that.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 2240. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Yes, hi. My name is Sabrina Johnson. I'm with People City Council Los Angeles, and I'd like to give a general public comment, please.
Sure, you have 1 minute.
Hi. So I would like to just give a general public comment about tenant anti-harassment measures. I think that some of the items that you're considering today do have some anti-harassment measures attached, and even some right of return provisions attached. And I just want to really drive home that development would be met with a lot less pushback if we focus on and strengthen these anti-harassment measures and these right of return measures, and any measures that minimize the displacement caused by development. Tenant groups are not anti-housing, right? We are anti-displacement. So the more you can minimize the displacement of these projects and make sure that tenants are able to stay in their homes or get a much more reasonable relocation fees than are currently provided under the Ellis Act, the less pushback you're going to have from us. And that's really all I wanted to say today. So, yeah, thank you. Oh, wait, actually, I wanted to let you know that the audio for this meeting that's not on the call-in line was not working at the beginning of the meeting. So I actually had to call in order to hear anything. So just to let you know that.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 6782, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes, I wanted to say a comment on 4 and 5, so I'll just wait when it comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Caller with the number ending in 4045, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Hi. I'd like to speak on general public comment because you're doing item 8 later on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Developers do bad things. It's part of the process. Everybody knows. It's really well known. They're just going to do bad things, even if they say they're trying to help. So that just applies to all of the things that you're doing. Okay, goodbye.
Caller with the number ending in 6262, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Hi, my name is Sylvia Versendes, and I'm here to talk on item number 10.
So you're going to have to speak on that item when we get to that item.
I got it.
Thank you.
I'll wait.
Caller with the number ending in 2531. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? And then state your name and the item you wish to speak on. Caller with the number ending in 2531.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I think I pressed the wrong button. I was just trying to speak on item 10, so I'll just wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6916, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on? Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Caller 6916, please press *6 to unmute. Caller with the number ending in 8438.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Priscilla Flores, and I was calling to speak on items 4 and 5, so I will wait for number 5. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5242, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
I'm a Renew Pinaldo, and I want to talk on item 5 and 4. So I'll wait.
Caller with the number ending in 6441, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller with the number ending in 6441.
Hello? Hi, sorry about that. I'm just commenting on items 5 and 8, so I can wait.
Caller with the number ending in 7366, can you please press *6 to unmute your phone? And then state your name and the items you wish to speak on. #7366, can you please press *6 to unmute? Caller with the number ending in 7006, can you please press *6 to unmute and state your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Good morning, all you niggas, and the great Gil Cedillo, the next mayor of LA. All motherfucking items on the general public comment.
Your time is running.
Oh, it is. Thank you, my dear. So, yes, let's talk about the eloquence and dedication to the First Amendment and Voting Rights Act of Gil Cedillo. Now, he told you demons the truth. That denying 2 levels of review for big projects is a violation of the Voting Rights Act. He's right. We elect Gil Cedillo, a.k.a. Gil Cedillo, a.k.a. Mayor-elect Gil Cedillo, to be there for us. That's why we elected him. And that's why you fool, you know who you are, bald head, while you put up Joe Bray Ali and all that campaign cash to try to get Gil off that city council, because you know he have integrity, something the other 4 of you seriously lack. Bob, 20% of the time, has integrity, so at least that's good. So that's why we call to support the 2-level review. More public comment, more speaking time must be permitted. Now, look at the indictment of Jose. What was it? All that talks about?
Caller with the number ending in 5196, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, I'll be waiting for item 10.
Okay. Caller with the number ending in 0970, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Hi, I'm looking to speak on item 8, so I will wait.
Caller with the number ending in 8052, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on? Caller with the number ending in 8052, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name is Luis Salvador, and I'm going to make a general public comment regarding gentrification happening here in Hollywood. The reason I am saying this is because I currently live at the proposed project at 6220 Yucca Street, and I'd like to say that gentrification is real. I can tell you because most of the tenants, actually all of the tenants that have taken the cash for keys, the buyouts, the early buyouts that Bob Champion and his partner Greg Beck have offered the tenants here, have not come back to Hollywood. They have left the state, they have left the city, none of them are living here in Hollywood anymore. Why? Because they can't afford to live here anymore. So I just want to make sure that the public and the city officials know that what is happening, gentrification, is a real thing.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 0970, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm looking to speak on item 8. I will wait. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 8077, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Mariana. I want to give a general public comment. I'm one of the tenants that lives in the proposed to kick us out. And all of the tenants that we live here are minority. They're senior citizens, people with disabilities, families with children. And it's so unfortunate during the pandemic, you're just ramming this through, pushing us away from our homes. If we can't afford anything else, if we're to get cash for keys, we can't afford anything. We will have to move out of the county to come and work in Los Angeles. So the gentrification, this really sucks. It puts us in a bad predicament where our lives that are stable right now are going to be, ended. We need for everybody to have compassion and empathy and see that we need to continue to live here. I want to live here.
Your time is up.
I work in the city and my son goes to this school. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 3922, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? And then state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hi, my name is Colin. I want to give general public comment sort of around the considerations behind item 8, as well as it sounds like a few other items on the agenda. You're going to hear from a lot of people explaining the very real concrete benefits of these measures, why they're necessary and inadequate steps towards the crisis the tenants in LA are facing. But we don't have to pretend that those considerations actually motivate you. We don't need to pretend that you are able technocrats or even dedicated public servants. The consideration here, right, is how much shit you can take from us while continuing to keep your friends like Jerry Newman, keep developers at the CAA, at AGLA happy, right? How much, you can get away with, and just have to sit through these comments like this, right? But I think you should take a step back and consider the situation you find yourselves in. We are in a really unprecedented and desperate crisis for so many tenants here.
Thank you, sir.
And you are out of carrots. You have a lot of sticks, right? But the city's going to.
Caller with the number ending in 6187, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Hello, Jim and Olga Kaplan, and I don't know the project number. It's the Venice Place project.
Oh, so I think that might be item 10, and we'll call on you when we get to that item.
Okay, so you just do like you just did where you call the last 4 digits of the number again?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 7728. 7728, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Hi, my name is Pamela Agustin, calling for item number 5.
Okay, so when we call on item 5, we will call on your number.
Great.
Caller with the number ending in 3544, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller 3544. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name is Ellery. I live in Hollywood, and I wanted to make a general comment. I wanted to piggyback off of someone earlier who talked about the right of return, right? The tenants who are displaced from their apartment by developers deserve to be able to return to those units at the location, at the rents they left at. I think the housing crisis in Los Angeles is exploding, and it's on the brink of getting much worse. It's up like 150% in the last 4 years, and I don't think we need to be pushing more people into homelessness for units that will be too expensive for the average Hollywood resident. And I just don't think we need like condos that will just end up being Airbnbs used for the Olympics. It's just not, it's not resident minded, right? It's developer minded, and there's not a lot of compassion in that plan. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 1490, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the item you wish to speak on? Caller with the number ending in 1490, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Oh, they hung up. Caller with the number ending in 6465, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm calling, I'm making a general comment. I'm a long-term resident of Silver Lake, and I'm very concerned about the strengthening of right to return and anti-harassment for rent-stabilized housing in Los Angeles. In my circumstance, we have a lot of outside money coming in. The owner that purchased our building doesn't even live in the state anymore. He lived internationally. He got Mills Act tax deductions, and at this point he wants to Ellis the building to make a profit because he can't make enough profit on flipping buildings. He came into Los Angeles to flip buildings. Really have to stop this type of person coming into Los Angeles displacing people. I'm 62, I have cancer, low income, and have a daughter. It's very disturbing what's going on with the housing and homelessness in Los Angeles, and we really need our public servants to help all the people in need here and not be catering to this type of person and developer who's just out to make money and leave Los Angeles. It's really, the carpetbagging is just a terrible thing to do to people here. Allow these type of people to come in. Public people should not be dealing with these people for any kind of thing, thinking they're helping people. They're not. They're just helping themselves. That's all I'd like to say, and I support the Yucca Argyle tenants' right to return. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Caller with the number ending in 7231. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? And then state your name and the items you wish to speak on. (7231). I can see that you're unmuted, so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Carla Cortez, and I work, but I can't afford to live in District 11, and I'm going to be speaking about item number 10. That's why it's so wrong to me that Dan Abrams is exploiting a giant loophole for a luxury hotel rather than the housing we desperately need. That's not
If you called in with a private number, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? I can't call on your number because it's private. So if you know that you called in on a private number, can you please press *6?
Give us the deal for governor!
And that exhausts the speakers on the queue.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
All right. So with that, Mr. Mejia, we'll begin deliberation on items with item number 1. If you could read that into the record, and then we'll hear from Mr. Bertoni.
Yes, item 1, Councilman, this is the weekly report by Mr. Bertoni.
Thank you, Chair Harris Dawson, members of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I wanted to give you an update this week on our initiatives on the Planning Department regarding racial justice. As you know, starting this summer, I think this whole nation was awoken with the death of George Floyd, and with that, on June 19th of 2020, the mayor issued an Executive Directive 27 instructing the general managers to prepare racial equity plans, and we have prepared a racial equity plan with following the goals that were set out within the mayor's executive order. What I wanted to do is really highlight some of the things that we've been working on in the last few months, understanding that this work of racial justice, social equity is going to be ongoing. It's not something that will we as a department or we as a city are going to change overnight, as we all know. But we're looking towards long-term progress and real change in how we operate as a department, both internally and externally. We've been working first off with a significant amount of internal engagement. Since our last update to the subcommittee, we've carried out significant work both internally and externally with the department. As part of our charge with this, we've actually conducted over 21 meeting and listening sessions to receive input from various department staff. Part of those internal discussions included forming a racial justice steering committee, and this represents a cross-section of planners from throughout the entire department. And this committee meets regularly, and what we're really doing is this committee is working closely with our Office of Racial Justice and Equity to really synthesize past planning practices and identify future solutions to address the inequity that currently exists. It's instrumental in helping design the future work program of the Office of Racial Justice. We also have the Black Planners Justice Group, and they meet weekly to identify challenges and opportunities as seen through the lens of professional planners in the department. The group represents all ranks and consists of about 40 dedicated Black planners who are determined to contribute to the goals of racial justice and equity within the department. We also have an Employee Work Action Committee, or better known as EWAC. It's an in-house volunteer group of planners, and actually all staff members, not just planners, from diverse backgrounds, and they've been working closely on this issue of racial justice. They've been doing a lot of internally focused conversations. Our policy planning and housing team has worked closely with our Office of Racial Justice and Equity and they've been actively collaborating with housing policy as well as our Community Planning Bureau in issues such as drafting our housing element and making sure that issues displacement, indirect displacement, and wealth building through home ownership are included in our policies as we develop them. We've also been collaborating between our Office of Racial Justice and Department's Planning, Steering, and Community Planning teams to ensure that racial equity incentives are included in future plans, community plans. The Downtown Community Plan has already drafted a set of equity measures that will be part of the community plan and will be used by decision makers as they review projects in the future. And really importantly, the committee, as well as our Office of Racial Justice, has been working with a subcommittee of the City Planning Commission on equity. And there's a subcommittee that includes Commissioners Matt, Commissioner Learn, as well as Commissioner Cho regarding that. We've also been engaging very much externally. So we've been working with community-based organizations in South Los Angeles and have concluded over 15 public engagements. And this has been very important for us to really listen to some of the issues in the communities. Some of the issues we've been hearing have been about promoting equitable housing policies throughout the city, addressing displacement, whether it's direct or indirect, as pressures from new development increases, building better and compatible projects in communities where the communities are largely Black or people of color. We've been working also closely with our Office of Racial Justice, as well as our West Side Community Plan update, to make sure that we really are able to communicate through the West Side the importance of the role that they would play in terms of racial justice and providing more opportunities there for diverse communities. We've also been working closely with other departments, including the Department of Human Rights. In the future, we're going to be there's a lot of things we have planned. We've engaged the services of a consultant to do some internal listening sessions, which will be coming up. We have been also working with, we're hoping to come up with a checklist, which is something that we can use when development projects come along, that would really make sure that principles of equity are incorporated in projects as they come along. So it's this idea that, but along our policy and our plans need to consider equity, but also as each individual projects come along, that we have to consider that too. And we're excited because we've been working with especially the Human Rights, Department of Human Rights, in terms of how they can assist us with that in there. We're also thinking very carefully about this idea of restorative planning, where we're looking at principles of restorative justice and how we apply them to city planning. And so this is not something that's necessarily defined out there. So this is something where we may be very much on the leading edge of is thinking about how do we do restorative planning in many of our communities that have been marginalized over time. So I just wanted to give you just a brief update with that. Who's been involved with this very closely is Arthi Varma, our Deputy Director for Policy, as well as Faisal Roble, who's our Chief Equity Officer, who you all know. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. Any questions or comments from members?
Move to accept the report.
Thank you. We'll receive and file the report. Thank you, Mr. Botoni. Excited to see the progress on these matters and benchmarks that you're setting up to measure our progress towards the goal. This takes us to item number 3.
Mr. Chairman, item 3 is a CAO report. It's relative to a request for funding from the Development Services Trust Fund for plexiglass modifications at development services centers.
So now is the time to press 9 to raise your hand if you want to speak on this item. But before we go to public comment on this item, we'll hear from the CAO's office in the person of Sharon Lee.
Good morning, committee members. Sharon Lee from the Office of the City Administrative Officer. The Departments of City Planning, Public Works Bureaus of Engineering, Sanitation, Department of Transportation, and the Fire Department are jointly requesting funding of a total of $151,102 from the Development Services Trust Fund, which is maintained by the Department of Building and Safety. The $151,102 is recommended to and will be used for plexiglass modifications installed at public counters at development service centers locations that are at the Associate Public Counters at Figueroa Plaza, the Marvin Browdy Constituent Services Center, the South Hill Building, San Pedro City Hall, and the Westchester Municipal Building, which are operated by these departments. As well, for your consideration, an addendum was released on December 1st, which provides the clarification to the Department of General Services account numbers for which the funds will be transferred. The funding amounts provided on the report have not changed. Representatives from these departments, as well as the Department of Building and Safety, are also in attendance if the committee members have any questions.
All right, thank you for that report. We'll go to public comment on this item. If we have any folks who raise their hand to speak on item number 3, we'll take them now.
Thank you.
We just have one caller on the queue. Caller whose number ends in 5706. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? #5706. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, I really wanted to speak on item 10. I pushed my button too soon, so I will *9 when we get to that item.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That takes us to members. Members, any questions or comments on this item or inquiries of Ms. Sharon Lee? Mr. Blumenfield.
The expenditure seems great. Obviously, we need the plexiglass. I'm just intrigued by the balance in the fund of $41 million. What else is this fund used for? What can it be used for?
The fund could be used specifically for development service center projects. It is available for just one-time usage, and pretty much by the departments that are that have development service center work involved with them.
Has that money been growing over time? Has it always been? Is that a lot? It strikes me as a large amount of money to have in the fund. Has it always been that big, or is it growing, or what's the story with it?
The fund does grow over time. There is a percentage based on the fees that are generated from these services that that go into this fund.
Yeah, I'm just saying, during this difficult time, we should be looking for ways to use that money in ways that can help the city and help the community. So it's just jumps out at me. And is that fund? I mean, it's obviously it's specific to the development. We can't put it into the general fund.
That is correct.
It's specific for, and you said it has to be for projects that are development oriented, or what?
That are development service center oriented.
Okay, I mean, if we haven't made every development service like completely, touchless and online, we should be using that. This is the time to spend that money, but I'll say that for another item. Okay, but I'm fine with the expenditure of 151 for plexiglass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield. Perhaps this is something that the Budget Committee could take a look at it, because I agree with you that it's a strikingly large amount of money that maybe hasn't gotten scrutiny. That it needs to be useful to us during the crisis we're in. Any other questions or comments on this item? All right, it looks like we're ready to go. We have a recommendation. If you could read that into the record, Mr. Mejia.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Approve the CAO recommendations in its report and in its 12-120 addendum, authorizing $151,102 from the Development Services Trust Fund for the installation of plexiglass barriers at development services centers located at Figueroa Plaza, Marvin Browdy Constituent Services Center, Sawtell Building, San Pedro City Hall, and the Westchester Municipal Building.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Can you call the roll, Mr. Mejia?
Certainly. Councilmember Harris Dawson as chairman.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Okay. And Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
Okay. We have a unanimous vote, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mejia, that takes us to item number 5.
Yes, Councilman. Item 5 is a motion by yourself, Harris Dawson, Blumenfield. It's instructing the Department of City Planning, along with the city attorney, to prepare a report with recommendations regarding the loss of affordable housing and the overconcentration of student housing near the University Park, Expo Park community.
Thank you. So I know we have a number of callers on this item. I want to take the callers first before we hear from Department of City Planning. I want to make sure staff hears the concerns of the community before addressing this item. So if we could go to callers, if you could press 9. Now we'll go to public comment on item number 5.
Callers, can you please press *9 if you'd like to raise your hand? Caller with the number ending in 0848. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
I'm sorry, I was mistaken on the item.
Okay.
So, proceed. Thanks.
Caller with the number ending in 1470. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Good morning. My name is Maria Patino Gutierrez, and I am with Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, and I'm calling on item number 5. And we're also members of USC Forward Coalition, and we work with community members in the area and have seen from first account the loss of rent control housing in the area and overconcentration of unaffordable student housing. We strongly support this motion and thank the council members for this effort to find a solution to this problem. We also want to recommend that the NSO extends to the area known as the USC Nexus Study, and we also because USC is currently doing a study of this area, so we see this effort going hand in hand. And we push for an interim control ordinance for the next 12 months on any demolition of LARSO housing. and a pause on any entitlement of housing aimed for students in the NSO area. We know of at least 2 to 3 developments that are actually being considered right now, one of them by Triple Link and another one that is obviously aimed for student housing. We do ask for a report back in the next 60 days, as this is a very important.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 1669. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Hassan. I'm a member with A. I live in the district of 8. I'm calling in regards to the agenda item 5. We support this motion and this effort to find a solution in this problem. We also want to recommend that the neighborhood stabilization overlay zone extends to the area known as the USC Nexus Study area, and we encourage for rotations of housing at 60% AMI for Housing Services Council District 8, where Marcus is at. And we push for an internal control ordinance for the next 12 months on any demolitions of LA RSO housing, and a pause on any entitlement of housing item for students in a NSO area. Companies like Triple Link have been demolishing non-stop, destroying the aesthetic of our neighborhood and pushing our people out. We asked for a report back in 60 days, and the issue is urgent. We would like this to be added in the oral report. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6441. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello, my name's Abby Coleman. I'm with the Los Angeles Tenants Union. Calling to recommend that RSO housing stop being demolished in the University Park area. Gentrification has been happening for too long in this area. A lot of people have been getting displaced, and that sucks. So please do everything you can to put a stop to it. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5450. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Good morning. My name is Maria Flores. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm also calling in regards to item 5. I'm very, very concerned because student housing is invading our neighborhood. We're not that close to the university, and yet Triple Link has been buying up all the buildings that go for sale in our neighborhood. In fact, they're out there knocking on doors, encouraging people to sell. I've seen a lot of families that have been moved out, don't have anywhere to go, have left the community. Again, my concern is specifically with Expo Park and with Triple Link themselves. I really do not appreciate what they do. They come in, they knock down buildings, build these ugly buildings, and they surround themselves by metal gates that you can't even see in, and it's an eyesore to our building, to our neighborhood, and plus it's a disgrace with what they're doing. I really need support from the council to stop Triple Link. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5338. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name's Joe Rose, and I'm calling regarding item 5. I live in West Adams, and I'm a member of the West Adams Neighborhood Association. I'm calling in support for Councilmember Harris Dawson's motion to investigate and prepare a report on how to address the loss of affordable housing and historic properties to predatory developers. Our community has been subject to developers like Triple Link, who continue to demolish properties against the pleas and needs of the neighborhood, and they build unaffordable student housing that does not benefit the community at all. Right now, we're facing them building an apartment building with 9 beds per unit and no parking, and in a neighborhood that already has issues. So I support this motion from Councilmember Harris-Dawson. Thank you.
Thank you. That's your time. Caller with the number ending in 8438, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello, my name is Priscilla Flores. I'm a 30-plus year member of Council District 8 and have been working with ACE. I support this motion. However, I do think it needs to go further. I recommend that the Neighborhood Stabilization Overlay Zone extend to the area known as the USC Nexus Study Area and encourage a prioritization of housing at 60% AMI for CD8. I urgently ask for a push for an interim control ordinance for the next 12 months on any demolition of LA RSO housing. It has been heartbreaking to see what companies like TripleLink have done to my neighborhood by demolishing historic homes and replacing them with hideous, cheaply made box-type structures aimed at excluding the existing neighbors and pushing people out, and further destroying the quality of life for families who chose to make South LA their home generations ago. So thank you so much.
Caller with the number ending in 7728, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello, good morning. My name is Pamela, and I'm with the Eastside Leads Coalition, and we join ACE, SAGE, and SEIU today in support of Councilmember Harris-Dawson's motion. So, council members, members of Plum, for 4 years, Eastside Leads has been organizing in Boyle Heights and surrounding Eastside neighborhoods in support of low-income tenants and long-time residents against displacement. Like our South LA partners, we do see further threats of displacement from student housing by USC and supporters of USC. This puts our existing affordable housing stock at risk of demolition and, of course, again, evictions. We support this motion because it is a tool against this problem. We support amending it to include placing a 12-month moratorium on any demolition or building permit that would result in the destruction of loss of rent-stabilized or affordable units. We also support that the NSO district area is extended, and also that within 2.5 that this area covers 2.5 miles of the boundaries of the USC main and health science campuses. We also ask for a report back in 60 days regarding these recommendations. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6782, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Good morning again. This is Aurora, and I am a representative of the North University Park area. I've been living here for 60 years, and through the years I've seen 100% investors coming in here and renting only to the university students. One of the big companies that we have is First Choice, TrialLink, and Stuho. These entities here in our community have really hurt families who have been living here for many, many years, and it continues to happen. So I'm asking Mr. Dawson and Mr. Gil Cedillo to please help the community with this issue that we have. That's all I have to say.
Keep raising your hand. Caller with the number ending in 6782. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I just spoke right now.
Oh.
Was
Sorry.
Was I cut off?
No. I'm sorry. My mistake.
Oh, okay.
Caller with the number ending in 5242, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Greetings. I'm Mourinho Opinaldo, an 80-year-old, experienced the loss of family and friends of my church and throughout the South Central schools where I taught. I am with SAGE, and we are members of the Unidad Coalition, and I also belong with ACE, 1LA, and Feel the Burn Democratic Club. We work with community members in the area and have seen from first account the loss of rent-controlling housing in the area and over-concentration of unaffordable student housing. We support this motion and this effort to find a solution to this problem. We also want to recommend that the Neighborhood Stabilization Overlay Zone extends to the area known as the USC Nexus Study area, and we encourage a prioritization of housing of 60% area median income for housing and service control in District 8. We need a solution to the problem that is causing the displacement of families in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 1684, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Good morning. This is Blake Curry. I'm a resident of CD8 and constituent of Marquise Harris Dawson. Student housing, specifically TripleLink, continues to prevent affordable housing and severely limits home availability in the city, already burdened with a housing crisis. In many cases, demolitions have been unlawful, obliterating the character and community while flagrantly disregarding the hard work of respecting CPIOs and HPOZ mandates, which were passed to prevent these very sort of actions in the first place. Finally, additional actions from operators like TripleLink are also in violation of the Fair Housing Act and warrant an investigation. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 7208, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Hi there, my name is Olga Lexel. I'm with the Democratic Socialists of America, and I'm calling to support the many coalitions that have spoken today about the need to stabilize RSO housing in the area and prevent predatory developers from coming in and raising rents. I just graduated from USC a few years ago and used to live in the area. These developers, the conditions in their housing are completely unacceptable. They are single-handedly skyrocketing rents. While I was at USC, in just 3 years, my rent in the same housing went up from $500 a month to $1,200 a month. It's absolutely unacceptable. People like Stuho, TripleLink, these developers aren't building quality housing, and none of this is actually alleviating the housing crisis. All it's doing is pushing families out of the area. It's not even good for students. Nobody supports these developers and this kind of student housing. You'd be much better served protecting RSO housing stock, expanding RSO measures, and building actual good quality housing in these areas. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 1684, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? $16.84. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
I've already spoken. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 3032, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Good morning. My name is Cyrus Mason. I am the president of the North Area Neighborhood Development Council. We have filed a community impact statement on this matter, and I'd like to go ahead and claim my 5 minutes of time. Please confirm.
3 minutes, Ms. Mason, but go for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson for being sensitive to the concerns of the community on this matter. Over the last couple of years, the University Park West, Expo Park West, and Old University District community have seen a marked increase in demolitions that have resulted in the development of multi-unit co-living spaces catering exclusively to USC students and in direct violation of the Fair Housing Act. The developers TripleLink, Dreamscape, and others have frequently been mentioned as drivers of this trend. The area bordered by Jefferson and Exposition Boulevards, Vermont, and Western Avenues have no HPAs or CPIO protections. It's a mixed income community of color, which is the truth of most of South Los Angeles. It is unconscionable to allow this area to be overrun with development that is both diametrically opposed to resolving the affordable housing crisis in Los Angeles and decimating the character of the community. With only one HHH project completed in South LA in the last 4 years since that measure passed, replacement low-income and very low-income housing is not being provided at a rate that matches the displacement occurring. By allowing this to proliferate, the city is silently condoning a purge of residents below a certain income level. These co-living spaces have no parking accommodations, and many of the involved residential streets are narrow. The shuttles used to transport the students to and from USC have been known to block the travel of emergency response vehicles. This is not the only university community in the city. This development abuse could potentially occur in the communities adjacent to Cal State LA, UCLA, Occidental College, and Cal State Northridge. Interestingly, it cannot happen in the LMU community because of the land use protections in place there. It is concerning that the character of that community is more important than the character of the community in question, which houses a number of historical buildings. In closing, it is imperative and time-sensitive that the report, and with recommendations regarding the loss of affordable housing and the over-concentration of student housing near the University Park and Expo community, be rendered expeditiously and within 60 days. I also maintain, as previously requested by NANDAC, that said construction should be halted until such time that an amicable, balanced resolution can be achieved. The growth of the community must be contemplated and completed in a manner which adds significant and meaningful value for both current and future residents while preserving public safety. I cede my time.
Caller with the number ending in 8606, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Yes, hello, my name is Pete King. I'm the president of the board of a neighborhood association called the West Adams Neighborhood Association. It's also a 501c3. I represent an area that historically is called the Charles Mitchell Hall Tract. It's from Adams to the north, Jefferson to the south, Western to the west, and Normandy to the east. It's about 30 blocks with 16 plots per block, representing single-family homes and existing apartment buildings, so a significant number of residents of South Los Angeles. You've heard from 3 of our neighbors already. I want to echo support for line item number 5 with our Councilman Harris Dawson. We want to expand the neighborhood stabilization overlay zone to extend to Western Avenue and south to Martin Luther King Boulevard. We want to use any tools, including specific plans that can address the affordability, design, and housing types to balance the need for family-size affordable units and the rehabilitation of historical homes. You've heard from many people, and I agree that companies such as TripleLink have been coming in and enforcing multiple homes, flaunting and going around any CPIO limits of protections for historical homes and properties, putting up these terrible boxes that are ugly, including apartments that they want to have 8 to 9 beds per building, which is even more tight and inhumane
Your time is
than
up.
the smallest dorm rooms. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 9936. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? #9936. Can you please press *6 to unmute? There's one private caller on the queue, so if you know you called in with a private number for this item, please press *6 to unmute.
Nice response time to our staff. Thank you very much for facilitating our public comment on this item. I want to turn the floor over to Department of City Planning to make a report on this item.
Good morning. This is Shauna Bonson, Deputy Director. I oversee Community Planning Bureau, and we within that have an overlay amendment unit, which is responsible for really looking at existing overlays, including the NSO that was mentioned here. So I heard a lot of great comments from the public. We have been having discussions with your office to ascertain what we can solve for and the best planning tools to do so, given the existing plans, districts, and overlays, and we'll continue to do so. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments from members on this? Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I just want to thank the neighbors who made comments, good comments on both sides of this. Really appreciate their thoughts, appreciate the staff and your leadership on this issue, Mr. Chairman. I do have add an instruction for number 5 to expand the North University Park, Expo Park, West Adams neighborhood stabilization overlay to include the following geographical boundaries and report back on providing additional options for housing affordability, as well as evaluate parking strategies and analyze massing and design standards for the area. The boundaries include on the north, Martin Luther King Boulevard between the 110 freeway and Vermont. On the south, Slauson Avenue between the 110 freeway and Vermont Avenue. On the east, the 110 freeway, and on the west, Vermont. Those are my requested additional instructions.
All right, we'll accept those as friendly. Thank you, Mr. Price, and I'll join you in thanking all of the residents that called in on this item and business owners and the Department of City Planning. I just want to particularly applaud Department of City Planning, who's had staff members at community meetings at least a half dozen times that I know of, after hours or on weekends, going over these very, very tough issues. The housing problem in Los Angeles is a very, very big problem, and it doesn't have one simple solution. And what's great about this process that we've undergone here is neighbors who actually live in the area identified a specific problem in the housing market, and that is the issue of student housing. Essentially, the market force of student housing is stronger than the market force of people who've lived there and the generations that follow them. And so recognizing that and observing that, getting USC on board to help to make a commitment to do more of its own student housing on land that it owns, to take some pressure off the neighborhood. making sure that we do the code enforcement and enforce the regulations that are already on the books. But additionally, what Neighbors did is came up with a specific solution to a specific problem, a specific market intervention in the housing market to deal with a specific problem in a specific area. And so that's what we seek to do here. And I think this is, government at its best. Folks, again, identifying a problem, engaging with the bureaucracy and engaging with decision makers and creating a specific proposal that's before us today to solve the problem. And so the motion today, including Mr. Price's amendment, will be that the Planning Department should report back to the committee in 60 days with the following: a working definition of student housing, co-living facilities, and naturally occurring affordable housing, strategies to adapt the existing NSO through geographic expansion along the boundaries north 110 Freeway, South King Boulevard, east 110 Freeway. I'm sorry, the northern border would be the 10 Freeway. The southern border would be King Boulevard. The eastern border would be the 110 Freeway, and the western border would be Western Avenue. Limit bedrooms to 4 per unit and other criteria to address the loss of naturally occurring affordable housing and overconcentration of student housing and co-living facilities. An analysis of the number of affordable housing produced in the proposed NSO area through TOC and small lot subdivision programs since 2015. Analysis of existing and new planning and land use tools, including but not limited to an amendment to the South LA CPIO or a specific plan to best address displacement, loss of naturally occurring affordable housing, and the proliferation of student housing and co-living facilities. The Department of City Planning and Department of Building Services will work with the North Area Neighborhood Development Council to discuss details of a working group beginning in early 2021. The working group will provide comments and recommendations to the city around the loss of naturally occurring affordable housing and the overconcentration of student housing and enforcement of construction and design regulations. Do I have a second, Mr. Price?
Yes.
Second. All right. Can you call the roll, Mr. Mejia?
Yes. Councilmember Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Don't sing
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Aye.
And Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
We have a unanimous vote, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Mejia, that'll take us to item number 10.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 10 contains 2 appeals. This is a mixed-use project located in CD 11. The appellants are Unite Here and Susan Kaplan, and they're appealing the adequacy of the certification of the EIR and the associated land use entitlements.
All right. We have a number of folks for public comment on this item, so we'll open up public comment. Seeing that we have literally dozens of speakers, I want to limit public comment on this item to 30 minutes. So we'll begin. You don't have to take your full minute. So we'll begin, and we'll try to get in as many callers as we can at this time. So I'll turn it over at this moment.
Caller with the number ending in 5443. Can you please press *6 to unmute? Caller 5443. Can you please press *6 to unmute? Caller with the number ending in 1184, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name's James Mirez. I would just like to say that I'm supporting this project. I think it's a great project. It's in a good location for a hotel. Matter of fact, it's one of the only locations for a hotel in our community. It's in the coastal zone, which specifies that there's a special commercial district. I've been on the neighborhood council, which supported the project, and on the land use committee of the neighborhood council for many years. And I'm in full support of this. I'm also a neighbor about 1,000 feet away from it. So please approve this project and deny the appeal. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2343, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Robin Rudisell, Venice. In the coastal zone, as per the certified land use plan, a mixed-use development requires housing, real housing, and not an immaterial amount. It needs to be enough to housing to be able to say under both CEQA and the Coastal Act that there are significant benefits of mitigating the impact of the traffic generated by the development on coastal access roads and a reduction of the need for automobile use by residents. The project description states the project provides only 4 units out of 82. These units are also covered by a CUB and so are clearly intended to be commercial and part of the hotel. So there's really no housing being provided here. The hotel project is a sham as it's not a mixed-use project and must not receive the benefits, the significant benefits of a mixed-use project. So please uphold the CEQA appeal. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2531, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tanisha. I work and can't afford to live in District 11. That's why it's so wrong to me that Dan Abrams is exploiting a giant loophole for a luxury hotel rather than the housing we desperately need. That is not progressive. It's very wrong. Thank you, guys.
Caller with the number ending in 5371, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello, how are you? Hold on, please. My name is Laura Banuet, and I work, and I cannot afford, I work in District 11, and I cannot afford to live in District 11. It gives a lot of stress in my life, and I cannot understand why they're doing this. It's so wrong that they're giving Dan Abrams a giant loophole to build his luxury hotel instead of the housing we desperately need. I mean, our kids depend on this. I mean, their school housing, their school and housing is depending on it. It is very wrong. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6414, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Aurelia Valdivia. I'm calling to oppose the project because it doesn't give us the housing that we desperately need. I think it's incredibly wrong for Dan Abrams to be exploiting this loophole to build a luxury hotel. And I also think it's an incredibly terrible precedent to set with this project. We need housing in Venice, not more luxury for the rich. So this is incredibly bad. And I don't think that we should be setting this precedent, so I am opposed. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 9241, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name's Dylan Daney. I'm a resident of LA. I'm calling to oppose the project. Hotels are not residential. They should not be getting exemptions meant for projects that provide housing. This is a terrible precedent. We desperately need more housing in Los Angeles, especially in Venice, and we don't need more exemptions for the rich. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 7343. Pardon me, it's 7434. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Stevie. I'm with the Los Angeles Tenants Union, and I'm calling to echo the sentiments of others who are opposed to developers pushing out folks who are long-term residents in Venice and elsewhere. I noticed we skipped agenda item number 8. I also was skipped on public comment. I don't know if we're going to go back to 8, but the theme of all of this is that we need to limit, if not completely prevent, developers from being able to push out longtime residents in the interest of building these luxury condos or these other, to another caller's point, what are eventually used as Airbnbs. None of this is helping the 67,000 folks who are already unsheltered, the 110,000 families that are facing displacement or homelessness as a result of COVID. Also, I just want to say that this call has not been run well at all, and there are many more people who want to give comment but are unable to because of the disorganization of this call.
Caller with the number ending in 0848. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Good morning, Mr. Harris Dawson and Plum Committee members. I'm David Ewing, a Venice resident. You must uphold this appeal as a matter of law. The APC erred egregiously by ignoring the relevant definition of mixed use and applying an irrelevant definition from a code section supplied by the applicant to accomplish his desired outcome. The definition required for this project is LAMC section 1309B3, which specifies that it must consist predominantly of residential uses. This project provides no residential uses, only hotel and other commercial uses. Despite the applicant's specious arguments, residential in this context is clearly defined to exclude commercial uses. Approval would make a mockery of its intent as well as clearly violating its letter. Please uphold the law and continue to rebuild Plum's reputation as a law-abiding body. Thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 6557. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Yeah, this is Tommy. I'm with the LA Tenants Union. I hope you can hear me. I'm speaking on this item. I want to encourage you all to listen to the people that are taking time out of their days to come and try to get you to do the right thing. These are the people who you should be considering experts in these issues, the people who are most affected by the market forces. Marquise, I don't know why you call these people a market force, but they're not. It's an attempt to regain some control via democracy over the ultimate total control that developers have over housing and the way that we live in this city. And the people who live in this city don't own hotels. Like, the people who live in the city are telling you that you need to approve this appeal and deny this project. No one wants a fucking hotel to cater to tourists during a pandemic? Are you shitting me? During a pandemic. There's already 70% of the hotel stock is vacant. And you're talking about building more hotels? Like, how do you live with this cognitive dissonance of, like, supporting affordable housing and then not immediately denying these fucking developers who try to gentrify our communities? It's a disgrace, and you need to get your shit together and tell these developers to go fuck themselves. I yield my time.
Caller with the number ending in 5196. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Mia Estrada. I am a LA resident and also agree with opposing this project. I've been waiting for almost 2 hours to address this. Hotels are not residential, and they should not get the exemptions meant for projects that actually provide housing. It's horrible that Dan Abrams is setting this terrible precedent with this project. We desperately need housing in Venice, not more luxury for the rich. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 3389. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Lee Ching-O Ray, and I work at LAX. I am against this project. Hotels will not get the exemption, meaning for housing projects. Thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 5706. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, this is Naomi Nightingale. I'm a resident in the Oakwood community. I am opposed to this project as it has absolutely no regard for the residents of the Oakwood community or any residents east of Abbott Kinney. It's no wonder that the VNC supports the project. Of course, the VNC is comprised of developers and architects who stand to benefit from this project at the expense of residents who gain nothing from it but lose access to housing, and the African American community on the east of the Abbott Kinney Freeway are disrespected and disregarded in this project.
Caller with the number ending in 0850. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Can you please press *6 to unmute? Caller with the number ending in 6187. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Thank you. This is Olga and Jim Kaplan. We've been residents in Venice, a small house, for 35 years, and we 100% support this project as an enhancement and improvement for our community. Much needed. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6262. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Resendiz. I just want to talk about, hotels not being residential, and they should not get the exemptions meant for projects that actually provide housing. It's horrible that Dan Abrams is setting this terrible precedent with this project. We desperately need housing in Venice, not more luxury for the rich. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 6134. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yes, my name is Gene Cunningham. I live in Venice, close to the project, and I do support it. I also want to comment that Venice currently has more projects in the pipeline for low-income or no-income housing than any other place in the city right now. And I think this is a tremendous enhancement to Abbott Kinney Boulevard. where there's absolutely nothing going on right now. And I want to reiterate that I wholeheartedly support the project. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6441, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hello, my name's Abby Coleman. I'm also with the LA Tenants Union, calling to support the appeal and oppose this project. The definition that you use for mixed use that includes hotels doesn't make any sense. Los Angeles needs homes, not hotels. Please do not let this project move forward. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5194, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Linda. I work really hard through my whole life, and really what they planning to do to enhance the city is okay. The only problem is we need to have housing for the people who really will work hard. And having Mr. Dan Abraham exploding with this giant monster of luxury rather than for the people that we desperately need the housing, this is not progressive. This is only going for the side for the millionaires and the rich people. And I think we deserve to live in the area and being able to enjoy what we work hard for it. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time is up. Caller with the number ending in 2443, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Sorry. Hi, my name's Tim. I live in CD11, and I'm boggled by the amount of misinformation that this project has around it. And, the vilification of Dan Abrams, who is not some deep-pocketed developer, who has gone through and done everything under the sun to accommodate the city and the community on this project. And it is an absolute driver for the community, for dollars, employment, etc. It will be a benefit to the Venice community, without a doubt. There are no hotels in that community. And I fully support the project, and there are multiple people that do. And the fact that it's had to go back to APC twice and be approved twice is a testament to the fact that this guy has been put through the ringer by NIMBYs in the community who are just not informed that there are alternate paths to affordable housing in multiple other venues. It's not about this project. So fully approve it. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 9936, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi. Marquise, you used the words market forces earlier, and just want to reiterate, these are people who are asking to live in their neighborhoods, people who are asking to live near their jobs, if they're lucky enough to even still have jobs right now, people who are asking, one woman was actually begging to be able to stay in her neighborhood so that her kids don't have to move away from their schools and their friends. Hotels are not essential. Another caller referred to this project as an enhancement to his community. We are not here in a pandemic, in a housing crisis, arguing or debating over cosmetic enhancements. There are very real implications to introducing a hotel right now. I don't know Dan, obviously, from anyone, but the fact is that this is not a mixed-use piece of property. we have enough hotels in the city. They are still empty. By the time this development finishes and is open, I can still guarantee all of you that you will still have these very same problems in the next 3 or 4 years that we're talking about today, because the city can expedite and approve things like this, but not solve problems that are crucial.
Thank you.
I yield my time.
Caller with the number ending in 9916, can you please press *6 to unmute? #9916. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 6916. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Hi, well, my name is Daniel Rodriguez, and I work at LMU, but I can't afford to live in District 11, and that's why I think this is so wrong that Dan Abrams is exploiting a giant loophole for a luxury hotel rather than the housing that we desperately need. There's no progress. That's not progressive, and it's really wrong that, he's doing that. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 7208, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, this is Olga with the Democratic Socialists of LA West Side Branch. I just want to oppose this hotel. We need housing here, not a luxury hotel. I also just want to add, I didn't get to talk on comment 8, but please support the tenants union on this one. Thank you. I yield my time.
Caller with the number ending in 7208, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller with the number ending in 5878, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Yeah, the Face calling with Law 2. I'd love for you to hear as many voices against the further gentrification of this city and degradation of its people as possible, because I think that speaks volumes, When you hear this outpouring of support for appeals against building more luxury hotels or for strengthening Condition 14D, the right of return, listen to the passion and the genuine fervor. These nervous first-time callers waiting hours, seasoned, eloquent veterans, just listen. The people are coming from all walks of life, genders, creeds, races, and you can hear that beautiful variety from our voices alone. Opposed to like the two people that have called in support, I'm jumping to conclusions, but they sound like they're wearing suits, and I know they make more money than me, so for God's sake, in the mix of a pandemic and our lives being like completely upended, let's not think about the dollar or the rich for one time, just once. Hear me out. Just think and listen to the people. Yield my time. Bye.
Caller with the number ending in 3050, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Brad Neal. I've been a resident and a business owner in Venice for over 35 years. It's amazing I'm hearing all these accusations against local landlord Dan Abrams. His project is thoughtful. My God, he's protecting the single-story storefronts. No developers do that. And, Venice is ground zero for short-term rentals. When they ban short-term rentals, what better time than now to build a hotel? Yes, we're in a pandemic, and yes, hotels are at about 20% occupancy. But by the time this thing gets done, we're going to be up and running again. And this is a well thought out project that will create community, places where we can meet friends that come to visit us, places where we can shop together, places where our family members from out of town will come stay. Venice needs hotels, folks. That's why we were ground zero for the short-term rentals. I mean, give me a break. And the people that are criticizing, some of them I know and I respect. Others, you're coming from out of town. You have no clue. Clearly, it's just not genuine. Anyway, thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Caller with the number ending in 0850, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Lydia Ponce, Venice. I could not disagree more, Brad Neal. And I want to talk about this project and have a general public comment moment, please, because I've been hung up on twice. May I have a minute to speak on general public comment?
No, at this time. Hello?
Yes, you hung up on me twice. I've been kicked out of this call twice. I would like to have 2 minutes to speak. One against this project and one for general comment.
You have 1 minute and your time is running.
Well, thank you. This is a perfect example of the buffoonery, the flim-flam, and the sham that this particular organization, I don't know how much you're getting paid, but you're overpaid. Because this is a continued greed of what is ruining neighborhoods. Your talk about environmental justice, are you talking to elders from the neighborhood? This particular project is opposed by many people in Venice who have been 5 and 6 and 7 generations Venice. And you can't allow this to happen because it's going to take up the sun and the breeze from the ocean. The breeze from the ocean, which is natural medicine for many people here who have retired and are worthy of being upheld and secured in their health. And I disagree. This project needs to be denied and uphold the appeal. Please, for the love of God and everything good, while you celebrate your holidays warm and at home with a nice cooked home meal. Think about everybody else. Can you?
That concludes our speakers for item 10.
All right. Thank you so much, callers, on this item. We had a lot of interest and activity on this matter. The next, we'll proceed on this by first asking Department of City Planning to report on this item.
Hello, this is Melina Sajin with the Department of City Planning. Good morning. Item 10 are 2 CEQA appeals of the Area Planning Commission's actions on the Venice Place project by Unite Here Local 11, Power, and Alba Luz Privado, and Sue Kaplan on behalf of Citizens Preserving Venice. The Venice Place project is a mixed-use development located on Abbot Kinney in the Venice community. It will retain 2 existing restaurants, proposes a hotel with 78 guest rooms, 4 residential dwelling units, and retail, restaurant, spa, and office uses. The appeals focus on environmental topics such as air quality and greenhouse gas impacts, impacts to historic resources, traffic, and parking, and requests that Alternative 4 be adopted. The appeal reports also addressed non-CEQA topics related to the project's definition as a mixed-use project, compliance with Municipal and Mello Act, as well as issues of neighborhood compatibility. A full discussion of the appeal points and staff's responses are provided in the staff recommendation report dated November 25th and correction letter dated December 1st, both of which are in the council file. In addition, today you've heard many comments related to other non-CEQA issues, such as the need for affordable housing in the area. While affordable housing is a critical issue both in Venice and citywide, this property is located along the Abbot Kinney commercial corridor. The property is zoned for both commercial and residential uses. No existing housing is being displaced. The proposed hotel, restaurant, and residential uses are in conformance with the site's zoning, and intended land uses and development along this commercial corridor. Planning staff recommends the Plum Committee and City Council sustain the determination of the Area Planning Commission, denying the CEQA appeals and approving the requested actions for the project. No substantial evidence exists of errors or abuse of discretion committed by the Area Planning Commission in regard to the appeal points raised. As such, the appeals cannot be substantiated and therefore should be denied. That concludes the presentation. Planning staff, including both Theodore Irving and Juliet O, are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we have two appellants on this case. We'll begin with Amanda Seward for 4 minutes and 59 seconds or less. Amanda Seward.
Amanda, do you mind please pressing *6 to unmute yourself?
Thank you. There's, in addition to the points raised in the appeal, there is new information that has come to our attention. One of the properties to be demolished by the project at 1031 Abbot-Kinney was identified as a potential historic resource in Survey LA's context statement documenting the African-American history of Los Angeles. The Venice neighborhood of Oakwood, which borders the hotel, plays an important part of the African-American story in Los Angeles. And they've already feel disrespected by the project, as stated by some of the speakers. Survey LA African-American context statement says that the building was formerly known as the As Is Jazz Cultural Center. It was founded by jazz saxophonist Billy Harris and opened in 1970. The context statement reports that it quickly became part of the countercultural scene in Venice. It was used as a West Side base for the Union of God's Musicians and Artists Association for approximately a decade. The EIR omits any discussion of this historic aspect. Two, a supplemental feasibility report has been submitted, and it was submitted at the last minute to address some of the appellant's arguments about the lack of an adequate feasibility study discussing Alternative 4, which everyone acknowledged was the environmentally superior project. And now new information has been supplied. The EIR has been revised twice now, all at the last minute. This report was apparently prepared November 30th and submitted December 1st. And under CEQA guidelines, it's required that this EIR be recirculated because the public has not had an opportunity to comment and to digest this new feasibility report. So in other words, if you approve this now with this revised EIR, basically you're violating the guidelines because the public has not had an opportunity to speak about it or to address this issue. Finally, it's obscene that in the middle of a housing crisis, the city would allow a so-called mixed-use project that consolidates as many as 8 lots. It might be the largest consolidation in Venice and includes 70,000 square feet of development, 58,000 plus, which is new development, and in a mixed-use projects which are designed so that people can live near where they work. And so this is going to be built, and there is no housing. And in the middle of a housing crisis, it's just confounding, actually. Now, the applicant will say that there are 4 dwelling units, but these dwelling units are not for the general public for long-term housing, affordable or not. It's not even middle class or luxury. What it is short-term housing for hotel guests so that they can live in luxury for 30 days or so in Venice. It's not there to support people living near where they work. And therefore, we urge you to deny the project. any remaining time I'd like to save for rebuttal.
All right, thank you. We'll go to our next appellant, Gideon Krakow.
Gideon, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Thank you, Chair, Council members. This is Gideon Krakow for Unite Here 11, people organized for West Side Renewal and Luz Alba. Local 11 represents 25,000 workers in Southern California and Arizona, making sure our members can live near where they work and that hotels comply with the rules our core union functions. Here, the Area Planning Commission and the CEQA document failed to address this hotel's inconsistency with the city's zoning rules. We request Plum grant the appeal until the issues are addressed. So, why is the union here on this project? In case after case, many that have come before you at Plum, council members, planning takes flip-flop positions that hotels are either residential or commercial. In every case, benefiting the hotel with permissive development rights, less environmental review, or less affordable housing fees. We're working on several right now. In CD1, that's the James Woods Hotel, Councilmember Cedillo, and another in CD4. Those cases, hotels are deemed not residential. Yet here's a flip-flop. Here somehow, council members, this hotel is treated as residential. Here, planning grants the project an exemption from a specific planned commercial corner development standards and allows lot consolidation because this hotel is supposedly, quote, predominantly residential. Obviously, the intent of these code exemptions is to provide relief to help create housing, not hotels. So does this case seem right, council members? 78 hotel rooms and 4 purported apartment units. That can't possibly be predominantly residential mixed use, right? This is common sense. It's a commercial hotel project. But common sense out the window. That's why our members are so frustrated. The letter and spirit of the code makes clear this project is not predominantly residential. Please look at the code. Section 1222, A23D says the mixed-use exemption is for predominantly residential and specifically references your section 1309B3 to define that. And that says in plain English, hotel rooms are commercial, not residential, which is common sense, right? Please ask your staff why it ignores this. Why does it ignore the definition in 1309B3, which is specifically referenced in the mixed-use exemption that DCP relies on? Instead, we have this Frankenstein plan or justification pieced together from other parts of the code. It's like deja vu, all over again, all over again. The city has a pattern and practice of arbitrarily classifying hotels, residential or commercial, just as here, depending on how it benefits the hotel applicants. Our rent-burdened members say enough. To approve this hotel as residential sets a dangerous precedent that allows significant code favors for almost 100% commercial development that are designed to help housing. That's why Local 11 is here, case after case, involving this kind of problem. Please don't set that precedent. The CEQA document doesn't address this. It is a CEQA issue. We also incorporate all the comments of the other appellant. Please ask your staff why this project with 78 hotel rooms and 4 small apartments is residential. Come on.
Thank you, sir. That's your time.
Thank you. I believe we have an applicant, representative of the applicant, Mr. Sales.
Please press star 6 to unmute your phone.
Hi,
Hi, good morning, council members, staff. This is Dana Sales with 360 representing the Venice Place project. We greatly appreciate everybody's time this morning and all of the work that staff and everyone have done to get us here, working on this hotel, not housing project. We're here today to ask you to deny all the EIR appeals and uphold the West LA APC's determination on the project. The entitlements for this case were final upon the decision of the Area Planning Commission, and thus the only issue before you today is whether you believe there is an error or abuse of discretion by the APC in certifying the EIR for the project. The approval of the EIR is supported by substantial evidence, and the appellants have raised no grounds otherwise. This argument by the appellants of mixed use has been thoroughly vetted, with the definition of hotels as residential uses under the Los Angeles Municipal Code having already been upheld by the city and in court. This case has had a clear, almost unprecedented path, having been subject to a 245 action by Councilmember Bonin earlier this summer that resulted in 2 exhaustive hearings in front of this Plum Committee and in front of the City Council back in September. Unfortunately, if you all recall, the case was ultimately remanded back to the APC for consideration, not because there was a finding of error or abuse of discretion by the prior decision makers, but only to ensure that additional technical corrections and additions to the conditions of approval were appropriately vetted. New operational conditions, compliance conditions, design enhancements, and a robust voluntary community benefits package that consists of a significant contribution into the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, a local hire commitment, and a commitment to assist with pedestrian improvements around the site to ensure safe routes to school programs for the Westminster Elementary School. Any claim by the appellants and the community that there has not been enough time to vet this project is completely false. Any claim that the EIR analysis or record is flawed is false. Any claim that the project violates the city or coastal codes or ordinances is false. At every stage of this project, the multiple appeals have all been denied, with all decision-making bodies finding no error or abuse of discretion by the city in approving the project, and no errors in the findings necessary to support the project and the requested entitlements. The public record for this case consists of 8 years of work, thousands of pages of documentation, including an exhaustive EIR to fully analyze the project. The project has already had close to 30 hours of public hearings between 2 zoning administrator hearings, 2 APC hearings, and 2 hearings at the City Council before we even got here today, with hundreds of members of the community offering public testimony and letters to the file. Our supporters include Venice residents and stakeholders and dozens of members from the Oakwood community who are nearest to the project. At every step of the way, the decision makers have upheld the validity of this project as a mixed-use hotel and have never considered the need to make it anything else. Interestingly enough, it's clear that the opponents have tried a last-ditch effort now by partnering with the LA Tenants Union to help urge the city to force this to be a housing project. All of our supporters are Venice residents, and most of these people were not. And apparently, just a point of information, we did have several supporters who had hands up who apparently didn't get to speak by the clerk, and if there's an opportunity for them to speak, they'd appreciate that. We're also completely shocked and dismayed and disappointed that there are stock talking points provided to people who have never, ever, ever been involved in this project, personally vilifying my client and defaming his personal character. So, am I still?
You had 3 minutes to speak.
Don't I have double time since each of the appellants each had their own time? We're supposed to get equal time. I'm almost finished.
Ms. Kurasani, can you comment on this matter?
Yes, if I can figure out how to unmute. Adrian Coruscant, City Attorney's Office. Yes, the appellant is correct. She gets equal time to the applicant's correct. She gets equal time to the appellants.
Good.
Sorry.
Thank you. Just saying that we are shocked and dismayed at the personal attacks at our client, Dan Abrams, someone that most of the people on this call have never met. It's a professional low that does not belong in this public process. This applicant has done absolutely everything that has been asked of him for a project for 8 years, and more than any applicant, frankly, that I've ever worked with. The appeals before you today present absolutely no information that has not already been thoroughly vetted by the city. The record is replete with information and staff reports rebutting the appeals and supporting the zoning administrator and APC's decisions. There's absolutely no basis to consider upholding these appeals or to consider the necessity of recirculation of the EIR. On behalf of the applicant, Dan Abrams, I respectfully ask you to deny all the appeals and finally allow this project to move forward. Thank you. We're available for questions.
All right, thank you. So we will ask Department of City Planning to come back and comment on the various issues that were raised.
Thank you. This is Melina Versagen with City Planning again. I just wanted to quickly respond to two items. There was one comment that the dwelling units that are proposed residential will be part of the hotel, and that's not true. They'll just be regular residential units. To think otherwise is speculative. There was a comment that the financial feasibility report was only recently available for the public. The original report was uploaded and publicly available back in September. The new report simply is modified to address the condition of approval that was added at the Area Planning Commission for a payment towards affordable housing. So that's the only real change in the new November report. And then I think Juliet O wanted to speak for a second about the residential use.
Good afternoon. This is Juliet O with City Planning. I just wanted to address the concerns raised about the mixed-use development. I think the appellants did outline that the proposed project is not a mixed-use development. The project itself is comprised of hotel guest rooms, residential dwelling units, as well as ground floor commercial uses, and so it is comprised of a mix of uses. Hotel guest rooms or hotel uses are defined in 1203 as residential uses, as well as in the building code as residential occupancies. They did refer to the definitions in 1309, but 1309 is just used in the context of LANC section 12.24W.27, which outlines exemptions for commercial corner developments or the regulations of commercial corner development. So the project is a mixed-use development. Per the code, it combines both residential and commercial uses.
All right, there's been a request to reopen public comments for a period. We'll go, let's say, a period of 10 minutes. Some people are saying they couldn't connect, although we've tested it a few times and they were able to connect fine. We'll open it out of an abundance of respect for the principles of democracy. We will reopen public comment for 10 minutes. So we'll take callers on item 10 for an additional 10 minutes.
So please raise your hand by pressing *9 on your phones to raise your hand. Caller with the number ending in 2523, can you please press *6 to unmute your phone?
Hello. Hello, my name is Margaret Malloy. I can tell you this is a very controversial project and this hearing is an absolute mess. And thank you, City Attorney Kaufman-Macias, for intervening, but it's inadequate. This hearing needs to be reheard so that everybody opposed to this project and those supporting can have their moment. Section 13-09B requires a mixed-use project which combines one or more commercial uses and multiple dwelling units in a single building or unified development that distinguishes the housing element from the commercial uses. The only 4 units that are described in this project have a CUB. That's a commercial use. It's not a housing element. And it is 0.031% of the entire 70,000 square foot development. It's ridiculous. This project, they're saying they've been in the process for 8 years? Why did they change so many things within 24 hours of the appeal hearing on July 15th? It's unconstitutional. It needs a new zoning administrator hearing to allow the public, not the appellants, to respond to all of these additional changes to the project. They've had 4 or 5 lobbyists engaged. They've spent over $750,000 on lobbying, and presumably the template support letters were generated by the lobbyists. Not one single one of them mentions a housing or dwelling units. Not one, including from the architect, David Hertz, who's project architect, and multiple Venice architects. Not one mention of dwelling units, not one mention of a housing element. So it just confirms all of our criticisms, as well as the fact that Survey LA Venice and Survey LA African American Contact absolutely failed to take into account the historic Oakwood neighborhood. And Mr. Feisel, as the new equity officer, has recognized that. Hello?
Hi, ma'am. That's your time. You've been given 1 minute.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 1151. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, council members and committee. My name is George Francisco. I'm here officially on behalf of the Venice Chamber of Commerce to register our longstanding support for this project. There are a lot of questions that people have brought up, but the project has garnered incredible support over 8 years. It will be in addition to Abbott Kinney Boulevard. It will be nothing but positive. I'm also a neighbor of the project as well. Dan should be commended for what he's done, and hopefully you will continue to reaffirm both of the Area Planning Commission's recommendations, and you will not follow any of the false narratives that are created. There's no reason to discuss any more of some of the lies that have been brought up, but we support the project. Our over 300 members support the project, and it'll be an amenity to the communities. Thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 8052. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller 8052. Can you please press *6 to unmute? Caller with the number ending in 8000. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, I'm Stephen Miller. Since April 2013, my wife Jerry and I have been the proprietors of the Cook's Garden at 1033 Abbott Kinney Boulevard. And we've sent letters and spoken in support of the project at hearings over the years. We've heard from many garden visitors that they too are supportive of the project, especially after learning that we will not be permanently displaced. We've witnessed Dan and his team continue to listen to the community and respond appropriately at every stage. At every hearing, the project has consistently received majority support from the community. In these challenging times, there's no dispute that the community needs and wants the economic activity and jobs that will be created by the project. The Venice Place project will most definitely reinvigorate this underutilized end of Abbott Kinney by becoming a gathering place for residents and visitors alike, embodying the welcoming spirit of the Venice community. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6900. Can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? (6900).
Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. All right, my name is Tor Knows. I live in the Oakwood neighborhood. I'm about a 10-minute walk from where the proposed Venice Place is to be built. I am having a hard time understanding why the project that is to be built on the land that's already zoned for this type of project is not being built. It has met all the code requirements. It's had multiple public hearings, and multiple changes have been made to make it better suited for the neighborhood. It has garnered public support from neighbors, including all the neighbors around myself, support from the Venice Neighborhood Council, and this community desperately needs a nice new hotel. It fits it well in the neighborhood. I strongly support it, and please, let's get it approved to get it done. These meetings are getting old. There's too many of them. Thank you.
There's one private caller on the queue. If you called in with a private number to speak on this item, please press star 6 to unmute. Press star 6 to unmute.
All right, I think that concludes the additional callers that we'll have. Thank you so much. Hopefully that exhausts everybody who wanted to speak on this item. Now we want to hear from Council District 11. I believe we have a representative, Mr. Nguyen from Council District 11.
Good afternoon, council members. Len Nguyen, Planning Deputy for Council Member Mike Bonin. At the last Area Planning Commission hearing, the applicant agreed to additional conditions to help preserve affordable housing in Venice, support local jobs in Venice, enhance pedestrian and school safety, strengthen monitoring of operating conditions, and beautifying Electric Avenue. As such, council member opposes the appeals before you today. Thank you.
All right, any questions or comments from members on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Mejia, I believe we have a recommendation to put forward.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I will read it into the record. Deny the 2 appeals filed and thereby sustain the West Los Angeles APC determination certifying the EIR and adopting the CEQA findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation monitoring program, and approving a conditional use permit for sale of a full line of alcoholic beverages, a conditional use permit to allow a hotel located within 500 feet of a residential zone, a coastal development permit, a site plan review, a project permit compliance review for a project within the North Venice sub-area of the Venice Coastal Zone Specific Plan, Mellow Act compliance review for a project within the coastal zone, a waiver of dedication and/or improvements, and approval of a haul route for the export of 24,591.65 cubic yards of soil for the proposed mixed-use project located at 1011 Electric Avenue and 1021 through 1051 South Abbot Kinney Boulevard, subject to conditions of approval.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
By Mr. Price. Can you call the roll, Mr. Mejia?
Certainly. Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Councilman Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
And Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
We have 5 members, unanimous, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mejia. That takes us to items number 7 and 8, which we will both read into the record and consider together.
Certainly. Item 7, Mr. Chairman, this is an appeal filed by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. This is an appeal relative to the approval and certification of the EIR. And what's before you in this item is the vesting tentative track map. It is for a mixed-use project containing 269 multifamily residential units, 17 of which are very low-income units. In item 8, it is an appeal, two appeals, one by Susan Hunter from the LA Tenants Union and Mr. John McQuiston, and they're appealing again the EIR and the associated land use entitlements, 2 conditional use permits and a site plan review, same site, same project, Councilman.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll begin proceeding on this matter by hearing from Department of City Planning. But first, I want to remind everybody, if you want to speak on this item, now is the time to press *9 to raise your hand. And again, if you have spoken on more than one item, we will not bring you into the meeting to speak on this item as you have exhausted your time. But anybody else who wants to speak on item number 7 or 8, press *9 at this moment. And I will yield the floor to the inimitable Lucy Ibarra from Department of City Planning.
Mr. Chair, before we do that, would it be okay for me to make an announcement? I understand that we have some monolingual Spanish callers, and
Yes.
they are going to need to know how to unmute. So, para las personas que requieren interpretación, por favor, al escuchar los últimos 4 números de su teléfono, oprima la estrella y el número 6 para poder escucharle. Antes de dar su comentario, por favor, hable despacio, una oración corta cada vez para darnos la oportunidad de interpretarle. Gracias. Those are my comments, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ibarra. A representative from Department of City Planning.
Hi, this is Melina from City Planning. Alan Como is going to be presenting on this subject.
Excellent. Mr. Como.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Alan Como, Department of City Planning. Items 7 and 8 are both appeals of the City Planning Commission action on the 6220 Yucca project. As mentioned already, but just for reiteration, the project is a construction and operation of a mixed-use development with up to 316,948 square feet of floor area within a new 30-story tower and 2 existing 1- and 2-story single-family buildings, which would be preserved on an approximately 1.16 acre site. The tower would include up to 269 multifamily residential units, of which 252 will be rent-stabilized units, and 17 would be set aside for very low-income households. Additionally, there will be approximately 7,760 square feet of commercial and restaurant uses. The project is an Environmental Leadership Development Project, otherwise known as ELDP. On September 24th, 2020, the City Planning Commission heard the appeal of the vesting tentative track map for the project, as well as the related entitlements, which include a zone change, height district change, density bonus compliance review, master conditional use permit for alcohol sales, conditional use permit for live entertainment and dancing, and a site plan review. The Commission denied the appeal of the track map, recommended that the Council approve the zone change and height district change, and approved the density bonus, master conditional use, and site plan review. Those actions were then further appealed to the City Council. There are a total of 3 appellants for the project, 1 for the track map and 2 for the City Planning Commission case. The appellants raised issues regarding tenant displacement, environmental concerns regarding air quality, GHG, which is greenhouse gas emissions, noise, and seismic issues. All of the appeal points have been fully responded to in detail in the planning staff letters, which are a part of the council file. Staff recommends denial of the appeals and approval of the project. I am available for further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have 3 appellants on this matter. The first we'll hear from is Dale Walrath.
Can you please press *6 to unmute your phone?
Oh, great. This is Dean Walraff from Advocates for the Environment. I'm an attorney representing appellant AIDS Healthcare Foundation that I'm going to call AHF. There is a shortage of housing in LA, and the project would help with that, admittedly, but there is a much more acute shortage of affordable housing, and the project would hurt the city in that respect. AHF opposes the demolition of rent-controlled housing kind of anywhere, anytime, even to make way for affordable housing, partly because the Costa-Hawkins Act prohibits creation of new rent-controlled housing. So once it's gone forever. And rent control provides more protection for tenants than the covenants for affordable use, like the ones for the 17 units in this project. RSO prohibits rent increases, for example. So in this case, 43 RSO units are being demolished, and the new project will contain only 17 affordable units, which is, a diminution of the overall pool for affordable housing. AHF is also particularly concerned about the existing tenants in the 43 units that will be demolished. The Planning Commission added a Q condition, 14.D, providing a right of return. And the council office on December 1st sent to this committee a recommendation that the condition be changed for the better, as provided in the letter, and renamed to condition 15. And that condition would require the applicant to offer in writing a right of return to the existing tenants. But it doesn't specify the rent tenants will pay when they return. It doesn't prohibit the applicant from adding any terms and conditions at once in that offered agreement. So the applicant could easily discourage tenants from signing by adding difficult terms. For instance, it could require them to commit to returning. You have to sign now, promising you're returning at a high rent, some unknown number of years from now. The best way to deal with this problem would be to negotiate an agreement with the applicant and city planning and the council office in advance on exactly what that agreement between providing a right of return between the applicant and the existing tenants would look like. And that's what we recommend, is that the council continue this item and allow, AHF would be glad to work with the council office on this. We have experience negotiating such things, but continue it until we can get an agreement that will actually protect a right of return, which is currently illusory for the existing tenants. And then just finally, there are numerous problems with the legalities of the entitlements raised in our appeal letter. I don't want to take the time. Sorry?
Your time's expired.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our next appellant is Susan Hunter. Good afternoon, Ms. Hunter.
Ms. Hunter, can you please press *6 to unmute your phone?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you so much. The Los Angeles Tenants Union Hollywood Local and the Yucca Argyle Tenant Association applaud the City Planning Commission for starting the process of a citywide plan for a right of return. Without a plan that includes interim payment on difference in rent during the construction, we're just going to push more people into homelessness. And this is also impacting city family members too. Tenants cannot be expected to endure a massive financial loss in order to utilize a right. While the applicant may try to argue that increases under Ellis for relocation were struck down in court, Ellis does not have any jurisdiction over replacement housing. As long as the Ellis requirements are met, then anything beyond that is up to the city. Under SB 330, we are allowed to demand a right of return, but alone this isn't enough. We need to make sure that we are effectively preventing new homelessness by making sure that tenants are not financially burdened while waiting for the replacement unit to be built. This project will have plenty of units and they can share. The developers' fears of the interim difference in rent are simply financial. They are scared of losing profit, but for some reason they think that their concerns of money are greater than those of the family that they will ultimately displace. If we want to make increased density in FAR a by right process under RECODE and community plans, then we will not have a way to condition right of return as a form of approval. This appeal alone demonstrates a moral conflict when a group of people called out in a condition are then told that they don't have a legal right to appeal that condition only because the law refuses to recognize them. We have to remedy this. We must have a legal pathway on all projects where there are current tenants on a proposed project site, especially because of bad players such as the developer's representative who is here before you today. Jerry Newman and Kendra Casper have on 2 other occasions promised that tenants would not be displaced as a condition of approval for other projects. They then turned around and issued eviction notices once the projects were approved, and they especially prefer to displace tenants at Christmas. If we're going to be serious about addressing our homeless crisis, then we have to start here and today. We have to stop the flow of newly homeless onto the streets. This condition is that path for doing so, and it's a good first start, but it's not enough. The language as is right now and proposed changes still leave a lot for the developer to play games with tenants and force them to sign a bad deal. For 3 years, the tenants have asked to see proposed language for an agreement, and the developer still has yet to provide any. Tenants were not made aware of any discussions between the developer's representative and the council office in CD13 for any proposed language changes. The developer needs to stop trying to work around the tenants and actually sit down with them directly and create a real agreement. And had they already done that, we would not be having this conversation today. Not only does Condition 14D need to stay as proposed by CPC, but it needs to be strengthened so that no tenant rights can be stripped away in the short or long term, and that repair and habitability issues such as the current infestation of mice and rats on the property, which the developer has been made aware of on several occasions, are actually dealt with and not used as leverage for bargaining for a signed agreement. Harassment, coercion, and intimidation must be grounds for avoided agreement and no project. Ultimately, this requirement needs to become part of the municipal code, especially because we are dealing with bad actors like Jerry Newman. We have to make sure that profiteers like Newman and Casper are held responsible for going back on their word. We can't continue to claim to want to do something about our homeless crisis and then go back on that just due to developers' love of profits. This city has come under enough fire. It is time to put our good intentions into real action and not only approve Condition 14D, but to make sure it is strengthened. We must work to make sure that this condition applies to every project seeking entitlements until it's part of our municipal code. It's not that we can't, we have a choice. We can do this, and we must. Thank you for your time.
All right, we have a third appellant on this matter, our third and final appellant. All right, our third appellant isn't on the line, so now we'll go for our applicant representative.
Kendra Casper, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Good afternoon. This is Kendra Casper. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Kendra Casper of DLA Piper, and I represent the applicant in the 6220 Yucca Argyle project. First, I'd like to start off by thanking our planner, Mr. Alan Como, and the planning department for all of their hard work on this project. This project has been going on since the project was submitted to the city in 2014. Over the years, the project has gone through many changes, including adding affordable housing to the project. As currently before you, the project has 271 units, 17 of which will be very low-income affordable housing, and the remainder of the 252 new units will be under the RSO. To just briefly discuss, this project is an environmental leadership development project, as Mr. Como had stated earlier in his presentation. What that means is we were certified by the governor as an environmental leadership development project, as having over $100 million investment in California, net zero GHG emissions, transportation efficiencies, LEED Silver certification. We have a PLA with the unions for the labor on the construction labor on the project, and many other benefits. Just as a note, the ELDP program sunsets at the end of this year. We are requesting that no continuance is made on this project so that the project will still be able to utilize the ELDP benefits for which it was certified by the governor of California. To discuss the tenants have always been very important to the applicant. The applicant is the very first developer in the Hollywood area to volunteer an offer of ability to return to the tenants. This has always been a component of the project. It was discussed early on in the project, as well as in the EIR and every hearing we've had for this project. The developer offered to the existing tenants an ability to return to the project once built, and for the tenant to accept to pay the difference in their rent during the construction. There has been a condition added, that's Q condition 14D, as a procedure to enforce this voluntary commitment that was made by the applicant. The Q condition is a condition that must be cleared prior to issuing any building permits for the construction of the project. So we must comply with the condition to give the offer to the tenants of both the ability to return and the payment of the difference in their rent during construction. That must be done prior to issuing building permits for the project. Also, as a Q condition, the Q condition is part of the zoning of the site. So because it is part of the zoning, it will need to be complied with. So it's sort of dual enforcement because it is a Q condition, as well as being required to be done prior to the building permits. Also, as a condition, all of the conditions of the project are recorded against the property. So there will be covenants recorded against the property that will require this to be done, whether it's by this project applicant or any successor will be required to comply with this condition. Regarding other statements that were made in the appeals, there is no substantial evidence to support any of the appeals as they relate to CEQA, as well as there has been no evidence that has shown that the City Planning Commission anyway erred or abused its discretion in approving the other entitlements for the project. One of the appeals referenced a different project done by a different developer as a justification for the appeal and a justification for changing conditions related to the tenant's ability to return. These negative comments, again, regarding another project, a different developer, and Jerry Newman and myself as that developer's representative, they are completely irrelevant to this project. They have nothing to do whatsoever with this project, and they have nothing to do whatsoever with this project applicant. Further, the comments do not accurately disclose the facts or the full circumstances regarding that other project, and any discussions between the developer, its counsel, or the Department of Planning, and the conclusions made in those comments are absolutely incorrect. I also wanted to make a note that Mr. Jerry Newman is on the phone if you would like any more information about this other project. But again, note the other project is irrelevant to this project today and has nothing to do with the project applicant for this project. With that, I will say thank you very much for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll now hear from Representative from Council District 13, Mr. Bullock.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Bullock, and I'm with Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell's office. I'm here today to speak in support of the request before you today and to deny the appeal. This project will bring much needed housing to Hollywood near transit, where it needs to be. From the start, Councilmember O'Farrell has been very concerned about the tenants that reside at the site. This was addressed in the queue condition and includes an ability for the current tenants to return to the new project at the same rent adjusted for the RSO. In addition, the applicant has agreed to pay the rent differential between their current rent and the rent that they will be paying in a comparable unit during the construction of the project. This is in addition to what is being provided by Ellis. The applicant will not be pulling a building permit until these conditions are satisfied. This office involvement in this project will not end at approval, but we will continue to work with the tenants, the applicant, the Department of City Planning to ensure that the conditions are implemented in a fair and equitable way. As a side note, as a challenge of creating these ability to return and payment of rent differential in the absence of a regulatory framework is quite challenging, but it is the right thing to do, which is why we considered all the options that were available to us. The office submitted a letter that is in the file that was cleanup language for the condition that I wanted to read in for consideration. And that condition would say, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant or successor shall provide certified mailing receipts or proofs of service signed under penalty of perjury to the Department of City Planning Major Projects section demonstrating that the existing qualified tenants were provided an offer to enter into a private agreement with the applicant or successor that includes, subject to its terms, the ability for the tenant to return to a comparable unit within the project, and during construction of the project, funding the difference in rent of a comparable unit between the tenant's rental rate immediately prior to the demolition of the building and the tenant's new rental rate until the ability to return is accepted is exercised. The applicant or successor shall provide a copy of the signed agreement demonstrating compliance with this condition, which may be redacted for privacy purposes or written rejection from the tenants. Where the applicant or successor is not able to enter into an agreement with the tenants or obtain written rejection from the tenants, the applicant or successor shall submit a written declaration signed under penalty of perjury that the offer to enter into a private agreement with the tenants has been made. The applicant or their successor shall also submit to the Department of City Planning Major Projects section, concurrent with certified mailing receipts or proofs of service signed under penalty of perjury, the rent roll or occupied units at the time that the offer is commenced. In addition, we wanted to add to condition 9, which is regarding signage, which was just to add the language of except as shown in Exhibit A after the word freeway. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. All right, now we'll go to public comment. We will allow for 20 minutes of public comment, so we will end around 15 minutes after the hour. You have 1 minute to speak on the item.
Caller 8136, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? (8136), can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Número 8.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Sylvie Shane. In light of the Department of City Planning's report back on equitable development earlier today, Yucca Argyle will be a blueprint for how right of return can be ensured in new development. I have experienced the process of negotiating a right of return into the exact same apartment as it is prescribed under the Ellis Act, and I caution you to recognize the difference between a right and an enforceable right. Even in my case, which was far more straightforward, I encountered huge obstacles and incurred attorney's fees to enforce a right I had by law. I've submitted recommendations to the record that must be conditions of this approval, but I urge this committee to recognize that by granting the developer project approval before having signed right of return contracts as part of the record, you are in fact jeopardizing tenants' ability to negotiate reasonable and actionable terms to return. The best approach is to continue this item and to condition approval of the project, not the permits, on the submission of executed right of return contracts. Thank you so much.
Caller with the number ending in 3988. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, I support condition 14D under item 8 and ask that it be strengthened to include the language that deters harassment and intimidation against tenants, as well as to ensure transparency in the agreement such that tenants may sue if the developer does not honor the agreement. This is an incredibly important condition that can protect renters from displacement in this unaffordable city. Housing does not trickle down. We don't have a housing shortage crisis. The units are there. The increased development of luxury as well as market rate units has not lowered rents. Preventing displacement at Yucca Argyle is important. The worldwide advertisement of Hollywood doesn't reflect the lived realities of those living there. Hollywood has historically had majority low-income renters of color, and this past decade of mass displacement in Hollywood has changed it dramatically from the previous decades. I grew up in Hollywood, and so many of my friends can't afford to live where they grew up. And I think that you all already know all of these things, so please act on them. Please keep and strengthen 14D as a condition for this project, and endorse more bold actions to keep residents of LA housed and alive.
Thank you. That's your time. Caller 1403, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? Caller 1403.
Número 1403.
Okay. Caller 5733, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Shauna Johnson, Yucca Argyle Tenant Association and LATU member. I oppose this project and endorse the appeal for right of return. My neighbors and I don't want to lose our RSO housing in a time when 36,000 or more LA households are facing imminent eviction. Do not leave the right of return negotiation up to the developer. After 3 years of promises, we still have no agreement. We've seen tactics employed against our neighbors at the Crossroads Apartments by developer representatives Jerry Newman and Kendra Casper. Things like repeated buyout offers, lying to tenants about grounds for eviction, removing parking, laundry, and other amenities, and refusing or neglecting to fix conditions. I insist that the Plum honor Condition 14D and strengthen it with anti-harassment language as a permanent condition for the project's approval. I reject Councilman O'Farrell's attempt at watering down these protections. We're tired of watching elected officials allow Ellis Act abuse by developers used to socially cleanse our working class communities to build luxury hotels and units. RSO, it doesn't matter if it's applied to a luxury unit.
Hi, ma'am. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5556, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello. My name is Lauren DeMornier. I live in Hollywood in CD13. I support modified alternative 2 because simply because it puts more residential units near transit. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6406, can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, my name is George Scarpellis, and I'm president of the Hollywood United Neighborhood Council. The Hollywood United Neighborhood Council had a meeting on September 14th and voted to oppose this project on 2 areas. The buildings of this very large project are built on top of multiple existing earthquake faults. This is a significant danger and requires compliance with the Alquist Priola Earthquake Fault Zoning Act. In addition, there were continuing questions regarding the relocation allowances for the proposed displaced residents and the lack of clarity and transparency in the execution of the relocation plans, including whether or not moving expenses will be paid by the developer. These issues were of significant concern and affect tremendous areas of the Hollywood United Neighborhood Council area. And we hope that Plum considers these issues, because when we lose these kinds of RSO housing, we not only lose places where people live, we lose communities where people know each other, rely on each other, and work with each other. And simply displacing it for development of any sorts.
Caller with the number ending in 6363. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Martha Chavez. I live at 948 Wilcox Avenue in Hollywood. I support Modified Alternative 2 because on top of being completely rent controlled, this project adds 17 affordable units for very low income families and individuals. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6539. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm calling in solidarity with the Yucca Argyle tenants. I'm asking you to support universal right of return. Keep condition 14D and straighten it to benefit the tenants, not the developer. As public servants, it is your job to listen to your constituents. Yet you continue to allow developers to remove RSO buildings off of the housing stock and displace tenants under the guise that it's creating more affordable housing. The reality is that affordable housing is not affordable at all. It's just market rate housing and artificially determined by developers and landlords. Do your job, protect your constituents, allow tenants to return to their homes at the same rents that they were paying prior to being displaced. It's the least you can do after allowing mass displacement with your votes. I'd also like to say that LA has over 100,000 vacant units, Airbnbs, and hotel rooms. Yet you still allow unhoused constituents to live on the streets. You also have done nothing to support housed people and
thank you. That's your
who are on the verge of getting evicted. How do you think that happens? How do you sleep at night?
I can take time now.
Caller with the number ending in 9484. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Goldberg, and I live on Rossmore in Hollywood, in CD13, and I support this project because I believe that we really just need more housing in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 1677. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, my name is Lars Midtune, and I live at 1745 North Orange Drive in Hollywood. I support this project because of its new rent-controlled units. How can you vote against this? Please support the project. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 3720. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Phil Catapodis, and I live at 1745 North Orange Drive in Hollywood. I support this project because it has rent-controlled units, and we definitely need more of those. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 0970. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Sean. I live in Hollywood, and I'm calling along with the Hollywood chapter of the Los Angeles Tenants Union. I want to ask that Condition 14D stay as a condition and be strengthened. I want to encourage that you guys think about the incentives of the developers, that they're just kind of looking for profits, and that if you can think of what the people need, it's housing and it's affordable units, and I want to see the strengthening of 14D as a good first step towards protecting tenants and to help stop with our homelessness crisis. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 4045, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, I want to speak on item number 8. Condition 14D absolutely needs to stay. The right of return, you have to make sure that people can return, but you have to add more protections for tenants. The developers are just going to do whatever they're going to do. So, please strengthen Condition 14D. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2051, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
My name is Aiden Barber. I like to rap. 16 7th Hollywood. That's where I'm at. I support this project. I think it's real cool. That's why I had to come and spit these bars for you. The fact of the matter is that this thing's great. 269 units down on Yucca Street. They got parking spaces on deck. That's the truth. Are you riding on a bike? This spot's just for you. 164 of them bicycle spaces. 30 stories in this place makes it great. Real spacious. Good gracious. Let's face it. This vacant spot's wasted. But this ain't put in place yet. I'm wasting my patience. Let's all come together and support this, dude. I go hard in this paint for this project. It's new. I think it's about time that we approve this building. That's my 60-second rap for that 30-story unit.
Caller with the number ending in 8077, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, my name is Mariana Vargas. I'm one of the tenants that live in the Yucca Argyle. First, I would like for our community to know that Mr. John Walsh, who lived in this property, passed away. He was an activist fighting for this project not to be built, and his legacy must go on. In 2015, Campion commented at the Argyle Civic Association meeting, people are going to have to accept that they won't be able to live in Hollywood anymore. We'll have to move further down the red line. The Argyle Yucca tenants that are currently living on this existing property were a diverse population expressing mirroring of great diverse in the population of the city of Los Angeles. We are families with children, seniors of fixed income, young and middle-aged working people, churchgoers, Spanish-speaking primary language. We are Black, Latinos, white, and we are gay, straight, and we are neighbors that respectfully requesting not to be displaced and continue to live here. Please note the impact of gentrification and displacement on tenants in Hollywood area is a direct link to homelessness. I oppose this project. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 4152. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name's Eric. I'm calling to support the tenants. It's absurd that people who are supporting are saying that this is going to create RSO units, because that's not possible. When you destroy an RSO, it's gone forever. They don't come back. Affordable housing or very low income housing is not actually that. We know that affordable housing is not affordable to most tenants and residents of the area. If you can't make minimum wage for 40 hours a week, or and pay rent in a community, it's absurd. So you need to strengthen the right to return and make sure that the terms are declared before you agree to any of this. These developers are here to make massive profits, and they have the ability to jump through all the hoops that tenants do not. And you got to recognize that, you know, under COVID, this is even more important. But housing in this city and county is completely unaffordable to most folks. No one can work one job at minimum wage and afford it anywhere. So to say that 17 affordable units is enough to make this project make sense is absurd. We need the percentage of affordable, quote unquote, units to more closely match what wages are in an area or in the whole county. You got to strengthen this right to return. It's a good first step, but you got to do better. Thank you.
Looks like that exhausts our callers on this matter, so we'll be able to get everybody in at 1:15. It's wonderful when a plan comes together. I will now open for discussion or questions from members on this item. Seeing none, Mr. Mejia, do you have a recommendation to read into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For number 7, deny the appeal filed by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission in certifying the 6220 West Yucca Project EIR, CEQA findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation monitoring program prepared for the 6220 West Yucca Project EIR, and approving vesting tentative track map number 73718 for the proposed mixed-use project consisting of 269 multifamily residential units, 17 of which are restricted to very low income units for the property located at 1756 through 1760 North Argyle Avenue and 6210 through 6224 West Yucca Street, along with the letter that was read into the record by Mr. Bullock from CD 13 as to modifications to queue conditions. As to number 8, the action is to deny the appeals filed by Susan Hunter on behalf of the Los Angeles Tenants Union, Hollywood Local, and the Yucca Argyle Tenants Association, and by Mr. J.H. McQuiston Associates, and thereby sustain the Planning Commission's determination of the 6220 West Yucca Project EIR, number ENV 2014 through 4706 EIR, and approval of 2 conditional use permits and a site plan review for the construction of the mixed-use project, same project as number 7, with the 269 multifamily residential units, 17 of which will be set for very low-income households. For the property located at 1756 through 1760 North Argyle Avenue, 6210 through 6224 West Yucca Street, and 1765 through 1779 North Vista del Mar Avenue.
All right, that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Certainly. Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Council Member Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Council Member Kern Price. Council Member Gilbert Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Council Member John Lee.
Aye.
So we have 4 members, and that's a majority, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. Mr. Como, you wanted to make comments for the record regarding this matter?
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Dawson, Harris Dawson. Apologies. I did want to note for the record that the appellant, J.H. McQuiston, did leave a message with city planning staff indicating that he would not be calling in for this meeting. So I just wanted to clarify that's why there was no one to respond when you called for that appellant.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Mejia, can you confirm that concludes our business for today?
That concludes our business, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. We're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
And members.